Hello, thank you for having me. I just want to build on something that we've just spoken about, and it's trying to find the different ways. We're all creative, you know, I'm not going to say we're all performers, but we all do something within a music degree that has lots of different elements. So take a concert, for example. You've got the performers on stage, but you've also got the marketeers and the box office doing tickets at the front. You've got the orchestrators who have put the music together. You've got the backstage staff. You've got the theatre staff. So even just that one tiny thing that is putting on a concert, there's so many different career elements within one thing. So it's great having this drop-down menu, but take it into your own week by week and see what is there and think of those different jobs. One portal that has been crucial to my development is Creative Scotland Opportunities. If you want to stay up here and work, every single job in the creative arts, not just music, is advertised on that website. And it's not just jobs, it's CPD sessions, it's funding opportunities, it's workshops, it's everything. So that's a really crucial portal. And if you're going to England, artsjobs.co.uk is exactly the same. And that's run by the different creative funding bodies, governmental. So I studied music at Edinburgh. I did my BMUS, and in my honours years, I specialised in performance. I did a dissertation on the transition of Scottish poetry to German lieder in song. I did music in the community. I did the psychology of music. So for me, coming straight out of university, the music in the community was a really important course for me. It got me work in my summer straight out of uni, being a research assistant on a project, and then in turn, I have worked with that department ever since. I have taken a bit of yes, I'm a singer and I sing, but actually singing is not the main thing that I do on my week to week to pay the bills, as we all realistically need to do. So I came straight out of uni, did the research project, and then I joined a professional tour for 3 months in England. It was an opera for babies, and it was a research project around babies not needing jingly jangly toys in their faces. And as a singer, we toured that round theatres in England. And I didn't have a job to come back to once I'd finished that tour, and luckily I got a phone call asking to do 2 weeks admin temp at the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. That 2 weeks turned into 18 months of work. It was a week, at first it was a week-to-week thing, and it was, oh, do you need me next week? Yes, I'm free. I was sitting in the role and knew fine well that they needed me, but it was just that difficult kind of situation that you're in. And eventually I worked across 3 departments. I worked with the chief executive, I worked in the marketing department, and then I finished in the education department with the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. And throughout all of that, I also run a festival in Aberdeen. I run the Aberdeen International Youth Arts Festival. So throughout I'm a freelancer, I've got this portfolio career, which is, I did an equivalent talk at Edinburgh a couple of years ago, and someone was like, what is a portfolio career? It's a ridiculous analogy, but I have such a sweet tooth. It's like a bag of Pick-a-Mix sweets. You know, you've got all your favourite sweets in there of things you want to do, but for me it's the licorice, and I absolutely hate licorice, and you're always going to have bits of that in your week. It's not high-flying, and it's not always creative, and it's not amazing, because you've got to do your admin, you've got to do your accounts, you've got to chase people for invoices when you've not been paid, but there's only 1 or 2 elements of that, and you've got the opportunity to curate this whole career and your life, and it can be so flexible. So zipping forward 3 years out of uni, I have just taken the step to move to London and take on some work in London. So I run the education department for the 16, which is professional choir, which you may all know of, you may not. And I still run the Aberdeen International Festival, so that's 2 ends of the country, and also within that I still sing, and I do individual one-off educational workshops, be it in primary schools, be it corporate, And so completely varied, and I think that is quite a good image of what you can do with a music career, and you really can do anything. Every single year as a final year student at Edinburgh, PwC, Ernst & Young, all these accountancy firms email the department and say, advertise us. They love music students, and I think it's because we are creative, and in any industry just now you have to be creative. And in particular our own industry, you have to be entrepreneurial. You're doing business management with your music. It's not just you that thinks that's great. That is amazing. And actually, in the industry that we are, and the difficult world that it is to work in, you have to be entrepreneurial, and you have to be business-minded, and you have to find your own opportunities, and be that putting on concerts with friends at uni, post-uni. Do it and just get out there and speak to people. I think that is also crucial.
Brilliant. I'm so glad I let you just do your introduction.
I just
because I couldn't have competed with that at all. Okay, guys, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask Amanda.
From the performance point of view, when I was first out of uni, it was definitely who had heard me sing before and who I had worked with before, and a conductor that I've worked with a lot, and it's a kind of true fact. You're only as good as your last concert or your last performance, and really that is crucial. And it's my teacher was very supportive at giving me gigs and things when I first came out of uni, but also while I was at uni I was working as well, and I think at Edinburgh I didn't have a huge amount of performance opportunities, so I found them for myself, be that in the Music Society, be that putting on concerts myself, be that just getting your name out there. And it's difficult because I don't know what your instrument is. Trumpet. Okay, so are you looking to go into orchestral playing or no? But do you know, I always said to myself I didn't want to be the wedding singer, and I couldn't imagine anything worse than just kind of Saturdays doing weddings. But lots of people do, and I've sung at weddings, but it's my friends, and it's really tricky, but it is trying to be creative. And yeah, this contacts thing is, you're not Encore. I don't know if you know of Encore musicians. A Glaswegian boy who I grew up with started this platform, and it's a bit of a LinkedIn for musicians. And it's not huge up in Scotland, but the amount of work that they have clicked into in London and England is unbelievable. So you register your trio as an individual on this website called, I think it's joinencore.com or encoremusicians.com. And all these corporates, all these weddings, it's the go-to place now if you want a musician at your event. And they come to Encore, and you have your video up, so that, let's say it's a corporate needing a band for a social night or something. They will say their exact specifics, saying, I need a band that can play 80s covers, that is near Bristol, this is my budget. And so this Encore platform, if you register yourself in that, constantly have jobs on the go. And that's a way of also kind of getting the word out. It is difficult, and you have to work hard.
How many people in the room are interested in being musicians or performance in some way? Yeah, so that certainly would be really useful. I'm wondering, just when you're talking about that, Amanda, how can the students use social media? So that's one platform that you spoke about, but how can they use social media to their benefit? Social media, I absolutely despise it, but it is so crucial, and in particular Twitter. And I use Twitter every single hour of the day, and it's communicating with people, and it's, if you're at a concert, I hate all this jargon of really looking forward to, or we're delighted, you know, it's just say it how it is. And if you're at a concert and you thought it was rubbish, say it was rubbish, because you're a journalist, you know, and we're all part of that creative thing. If it was the best thing you've ever seen, say that it's the best thing you've ever seen, and follow all these people that inspire you and see what they're doing. If there's a trumpeter
that you look up to or the performance that they do, follow them and direct message them, and if you get a response, that's great. This whole thing about putting videos online and recordings of yourself, I've never done, and I think that is because I am just petrified of this bit of archive that is always going to be there, do you know? And I'd much rather someone come and experience my concert that's in the moment and they see my performance there, because I think that's the best part of music and performance. But I know a lot of people who do, and they put recordings up, and I would say if I was doing performance full time, I would definitely do that. And you would have a website with really high quality audio, and you'd invest in it. Do you know, is there a tech course in Glasgow? Is there a sound engineering course in the department? Well, there's sound engineers at RCS, so go and click into one of those students, and I'm sure they have portfolios that they need to put together that you could ask them to record you singing or performing. And yeah, social media it's the way that it's going. I think, yeah, Twitter in particular. And people do want to see live, snappy content. So it's going back to this whole business management of, as a performer, you've got to sell yourself, and you are your own business, really. Your brand is you, how people see you, where people see you at concerts, at conferences, at talks. And at one point, I was really guilty of just going to classical music or just going to see singers perform. Whereas go and see a jazz singer, go out of your genre, go out of your comfort zone and just see it. It's our whole industry that's crucial, and we're all trying to fight for it to still be a kind of worthy career path with all the recent goings on. So yeah, support each other. And I've struggled, and I don't think as peers we support each other enough. There's an amazing organisation in England called Young People in the Arts, and they did a pilot launch in Scotland last year, and it didn't take off, but there is a group of us trying to push that. But they do talks and CPD things, and it's under 30s. It's people who are sort of grueling out at the early steps of their career. So there's definitely space for that. Any other questions? What are you wanting to do, or what kind of are you specialising in? Is it education? Is it genuinely don't have a clue? Are you wanting to stay within music?
I'm doing it joint with film and TV.
Okay.
And I guess I'm a bit more loose in terms of where I want to be, but I think it would definitely sort of be from a creative standpoint.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of industry, even if I'm not entirely certain how exactly it would sort of form a path, if that makes sense.
So I have always wanted to be like a BBC radio presenter, and it is still a massive thing that I want to do. But the BBC have lots of work experience slots. You can, if you give up a week, that's always advertised on my website. The BBC proms every year, you can go and work for them, and in your summer volunteer or get paid, and you can see all aspects. So I think if it's something like that where you've done your music, but it's also film and television, it's seeing what opportunities, and also just emailing people and asking. And Jamie McDougall, who's a BBC radio presenter up here and does a lot of the Radio 3 stuff, he started as a singer and did music. Judith Ralston, the weather presenter at the BBC up in Scotland, she was an opera singer at first and then went and became a weather presenter. So all these people have been where we are right now. I'm still very much that early step in the ladder. And yeah, it's just having the guts to just email and ask the question, and can you help? Can I take you for a coffee? Can we have a quick phone call and just see if you can give us any advice? It is.
It almost feels a bit weird because you almost feel as if when you get in touch with something, because if I've got nothing together, it's just me sort of you're literally sort of depending on their sort of good nature,
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think that good nature is bound, and it's majority, and it's likely to be there with these people. Do you know, we're all creatives, and everyone will have a different path, but they've invested a career in it. I believe, our generation have a harder job to do and to invest a career in it, and you do have to be savvy. But yeah, and you know, if they don't have the time to give to you, they'll tell you they're not, or they'll pass you on to somebody else, or they might just give you one sentence, and that could be the thing that kind of kicks you in the right direction and gets you there. And I've asked for people's help, and it's been invaluable. It really has been, to the work that I've done. And literally until 3 months ago, every single job interview that I did since graduating from uni 3 years ago, I failed and I didn't get. But I haven't been out of work, and I haven't worked in a bar, and I've only been working in the creative industry since leaving uni. And it's the people you know, it's the project that you do, going on to the next, and be honest when you're in those projects. You know, it's, oh yeah, this contract ends in a month, don't really have anything in the diary. And even if you just say that, and it's not a deliberate, can you find me a job in 6 weeks' time, it's in people's head, and they might speak to somebody else and have been impressed with your work, or yeah, there's lots of different people to expand your network. Yeah.
I was wondering if you could speak a bit more about kind of the day-to-day process of managing a portfolio career.
Yeah.
Like, how often are you having to look for the work? How long is each contract? Is that stressful sometimes?
Yeah. So I'm not going to lie, in August last year, I got to complete burnout, and health and well-being in the portfolio freelance is crucial. And I had just finished running the festival in Aberdeen. The festival in Aberdeen is 1 week in July. It's an end of July, first week of August festival, and I had, in the middle of that festival, had another project going on, so it was up and down the country, and it was totally too much. And you are at that point where you can get to burnout, and that I got to complete and utter burnout, and it made me just rein everything back in and reevaluate it. And that's when I had my bit of a out of university wobble, although it was 2.5 years out of uni that I had that wobble. But I think having that wobble is all part of the process, and it builds you up. And I was able to get some other work and sort of take the 3 weeks off that I did, take the month off out of work, because I had just worked solidly for the last 3 months, hardly having a day off, to try and fit it all in. But you get over that, and actually I think it's really crucial to give yourself time off. And it can, what's a weekend in the music and the creative industries? We don't have weekends, really, do we? Saturday and Sundays are not our weekends. And so I always give myself at least a day and a half off in the week, just to do your own thing. And the other thing is, when you're a freelancer, all your contracts are likely to be different. Until recently, I had a 1 day a week contract, general managing an orchestra. On top of that, I had my 2-ish days, and it's always this, it's 2.5 days here, or it's 2 days average throughout the year that in the summer becomes 4 days, and it's trying to balance that in. And I struggled a bit with the board when you're working with the boards, and so this 1 day a week job, but they would expect 24/7 response from me. I was the only employee in the organisation. I was running every aspect of it, and you just have to be honest at the front. And I think it's the same when people are hiring you and employing you not on a full-time level. It's life. They have to expect that you have other work going on. And yes, your other work could be being a mother to your children, but you work 3 days or whatever, or it could be that I've actually got 5 jobs on the go 1 day a week. The 1 day a week is, in some jobs, I will be strict and say Monday 9 to 5 is when I'm working for you, and I will be silent until the next Monday. But then that's also not realistic, and I'm not always going to reply to that email but if it's urgent, phone me, and I might be able to take 15 minutes out of something else to sort that little problem. And you do have to be flexible. And my diary is a colourful mess of accommodation, travelling here, the different work elements, but also finding time for and for yourself. And sometimes going to concerts is work, sometimes is going to concerts is my enjoyment. And I think with a subject like music, it's our hobbies as well as our career. And I often find that really difficult, because you'll be at a concert there out of sheer enjoyment, but in a small pot like Scotland, you're likely to see a colleague, or you're likely to see someone who might want to talk to you about this. So try and find something in your week that is not music, and really just be able to shut off from it for those little moments. You have to be so organised to be a freelancer, and I love it because I, for example, this weekend for the last week, have been working remotely for my job in London, and more organisations are flexible with remote working. And last year I just needed a holiday and I needed some vitamin D, so I went on holiday to Spain and worked from Spain, you know, and the freelance stuff means you can pick and choose. And I could quite easily walk into one arts organisation and get a full-time job 5 days a week, but for me, that is not what keeps me going. I love to be creative and do different things, so I do my arts management stuff to pay the bills, but also there's a creative element. The singing is complete sheer enjoyment, and it's concerts that I want to do, and it's repertoire that I agree with and I want to do. It's not a Sunday every single week church job to pay the bills. And I am really lucky, but I think that's because I've always been quite business-minded and entrepreneurial, and it's back to this whole business management thing. And actually, I think it is crucial, and you are so lucky that you're doing that as part of your degree, because there are colleagues of mine walking out of a performance university, wherever, and I think every establishment is guilty of it, and they've been number one in this, number one violinist, and it is so difficult just to do violin. You know, it's the tiniest percentage of musicians who actually are those global superstars. And for me as a singer, I look up to your Sarah Connolly's, your Jonas Kaufmann's, all these people who are in their late 40s. And I'm in my mid-20s, and they've only just made it late 30s, early 40s. And actually, that is the career that you see, because it's digital, we can all see it now. But what were they doing when they were 25? There's the amazing story of Joyce DiDonato, who travelled, saved up for years as a waitress in Kansas City, and she did one tour to Europe, auditioned at all the opera houses in Europe, got no's at every single one, Scottish Opera, every single opera house, returned back to Kansas, got one phone call from Paris, and they gave her a job. And look at her now. Do you know, she's at the Metropolitan Opera, she's at Covent Garden every single season. She is number one mezzo-soprano, and she is so open and honest about her early stages of career. And I think it's a decision you have to make. I made the decision that singing wasn't going to be my number one priority, because I have a niece and I want to be the auntie that spoils her. I've got friends from university all across the world that I want to be able to travel and see, and I think you have to be really realistic about what's important. If you being number one in your field as a musician is what's most important, good luck to you, and do everything that you can, and I hope it goes really well for you. I mean, I love everything that I do, but it's definitely been that decision of, actually, I've got a social life to uphold, and I want to be able to do other things, and sadly, it's not realistic in our industry to, at an early stage of your career, do that right now. And yeah, it's a difficult thing to get over, and I definitely only decided that about 6 months ago. But I have, and I think actually you find a love for it again, and I find it quite difficult. Parents in very kind of graduated with a degree and go and work in that career. I've got an older sister who's a doctor and an older sister who's a vet, so then I come out as the creative and the freelancer, and there are all these different pressures that you experience straight out of uni, and it's just having the confidence to go and do it, but also to have fun and look after yourself, and we're all in a creative subject, so be creative with the job that you create yourself, you know, and look in all these job websites and the prospects things and forge something for you. I have goals of where I want to be in 5 years, in 10 years. There's still a little bit in my head that says I want to be an opera singer, but right now I'm going to do arts management until I'm of the age that my voice is at its peak. You know, it's always there, and it's always an opportunity. And also, if it all goes tits up, I'll go to a corporate and become a consultant or an accountant. You know, I'm kind of like, well, that's just life, and you can kind of get bowled over by everything. I think you are all really lucky to be at a university and studying a creative degree at university. I know I struggled a bit with it because I was like, oh, it's quite academic, but coming out of it and leaving, actually, it's crucial. And the alumni network and the post-uni network of being at a uni rather than being at a performing conservatoire is huge, and all the different pots of people that you can talk to. I was friends. My dearest from uni were all in business and economics, and they're all earning a disgusting amount of money in the city. But actually, do you know, I've got some work from them because they're like, oh, Amanda, we need to do a team building day. Can you come and deliver a workshop? Or can you go and do this? So, do you know, you open up your network, and every single big corporate in the world need creatives going forward. And you are a creative, and yes, your talent is music, but think what you can do outside of music. And in most one segment of the stuff that I do is kind of workshop leading, and I do percussion and stuff, and I'm not a percussionist. Or you do drawing and art, and you do graphic scores, but it's using all that bubble of lots of different forms to move it forward and keep shouting about music and how wonderful it is.
Brilliant. Amanda, would you believe you have 9 minutes left?
Oh my goodness, I'm like yacked on.
Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask Amanda before I ask us one wee final question? Is there anything anybody's not had a chance to ask? Is there anything Amanda has said that you'd like to ask her to, or you'd like to pick up on, that you'd like to get her to say a little bit more about, or?
I think just that one of the websites you mentioned, I didn't get the chance to get it down. It was, you said it was kind of like the Scottish equivalent of Artsjobs.
Yeah, so in Scotland, it's Creative Scotland's Opportunities website. And you can sign up to a bulletin before GDPR comes in, if you say yes to it. You sign up, and every 7 o'clock on a Friday evening, I get an update, and you pick and choose what you want to see, but it's across the arts. And the equivalent down south is just called artsjobs.co.uk.
Did you get the one that she mentioned? Was it Encore?
Oh yeah, Encore.
Did you get that one
musicians,
for performance?
Yeah. That's very performance-based. There's no arts management jobs in there or anything. It's very performance-based.
And you mentioned that you were trying to get up and running the young...
Yeah, so there's young people in the arts.
Young people in the arts.
For example, on Thursday, I'm going to a talk on diversity that they're putting on, and they're constantly putting on subjects that are vibrant and alive in our industry just now. And I think it's really crucial, if any of you have any ideas, but there's a lot of us wanting to forge careers in the creative industries in Scotland, and it's literally only been in the last 2 months that I've made the move to do a bit of work in England, but it is there, and the work is there. In Scotland, you do have to travel often for it, but I have given ScotRail far too much money over the years by travelling between all the different cities in Scotland, but do you know, that's just part of it. I have very much decided that I'll go to London for a bit, get it in my system and get it swiftly out of my system, and will always come back to Scotland because of just the way of life that it is. But I think I have noticed it being down south is it's been a bit of a breath of fresh air actually, and I would really encourage you to do if you know where you want to settle eventually, go and work elsewhere for a bit, or kind of get it in you and be open to other things. Working at the Youth Festival in Aberdeen has opened my eyes to theatre and dance, that I was very much a classical music bod and had tunnel vision to that straight out of uni. But it is amazing to see what you can do. You can be really creative with marketing. We're all quite savvy on digital, so we're really lucky because there's people working in marketing across all these arts organisations that we've grown up with social media, and we know how to send a tweet like that and do a hashtag that looks good and send it out, but people are having to relearn this. So I think we're really lucky that we are in that world, and it's just been part of us moving forward.
Okay, that is us almost up to our time. There's just one final question I would quite like to ask you, Amanda, and it's, you mentioned about friends all over the world of your course. Thinking about your peers, thinking about the peers that you did your music degree with, can you give us a kind of idea of where they are and what they're doing?
So a big percentage went on to do secondary music teaching and enjoy their 8 weeks of holiday every summer. Some have gone into masters and then PhD study. I'm actually quite proud of my intake. There were 25 or 30 of us in our year group, and a couple have gone to do accountants, but there's some really amazing things that people are doing. One girl in particular went to Royal Northern to be an orchestra assistant, and she's just got the most amazing job with an American production company which takes orchestrated Titanic, and you know all the films that are done on tour with live orchestra. So she's the producer, and literally week 2 in the job, she went to Florida with Titanic live, you know, and so yeah, it's amazing. Travel is huge. Other people have been in arts organisations at a low-level admin job and then gone to do, one girl's doing box office with Ticketmaster. So yeah, there's lots of kind of corporate opportunities that there's more money. It's maybe not as creative and high art, but there's just, if money is what you want, then head to the corporate and head to all this kind of pop music and events. Some people are music journalists. Some people are still working in bars and trying to figure out what to do, and that's amazing. So yeah, we've all really done lots of different things, which is, I think, really exciting, and that's part of the reason why I chose to study a creative subject, because when you come out of the 4 years at uni, you can literally do anything. You can retrain if you want to become an accountant, or you can, do anything.
And you're absolutely right in what you said, that so many corporate organisations absolutely love creative degrees, because they never get candidates like that. So many of you will not be interested in corporate because you don't fancy the kind of work that they do, but don't not consider it because you think they're not interested in you, because that's not the case. Okay, that is us up to our time. Can I just thank you very much, Amanda, for your time.